Hey, friends, I'm Otis Gibbs, and this is my buddy Mike Grimes. He's going to tell a story about when Metallica played to 175 people at the Basement in Nashville.
The story of Metallica playing the Basement has its roots in Grimey's, which was located upstairs from the basement here. And our affiliation with the Ames Group, which was the Alliance of Independent Music Stores. Our friend Don Van Cleve was the president of Ames and was at South by Southwest in 2008, March of 2008, and had a conversation with somebody from Q Prime Management. And Metallica were going to be coming through to play Bonnaroo. And they wanted to kind of mend some fences with the fan base and writers and the media. I mean, you know, the whole Napster thing had kind of put a sour taste in some people's mouths about Metallica. And so they wanted to do a little small show, invite, you know, some tastemakers, writers, and members of their fan club, local members of their fan club. And so they wanted to put together a small show. So Don suggested that they do it at Grimey's. And of course, Grimey's is just too small to have Metallica play in the tiny store. So he recommended, well, the Basement is the co-owners club downstairs. We could do it there. And so basically I get a call from my business partner Doyle and says, you're not going to believe this. Metallica are going to play Grimey's or the Basement. I'm like, oh my God. But we had to keep the secret because this was 3 months out. I remember going home to my wife and I was like, you're not going to believe this. Metallica are going to play the Basement. And she patted me on the head. She's like, sure they are. You know. And so we just had to keep the secret. But they still had to have somebody from Q Prime Management come over and kind of check out the club. And at that point I was like, well, the second that Q Prime Management walk in here and see how small it is, they're going to go, oh, we didn't realize it's so small. We can't do this. But lo and behold, they send somebody from Q Prime and they walk in and they look around and they're like, they kind of chuckled. They're like, huh, this will be fucking great. I'm like, okay, now it's on for sure. So we had to clamp down and keep the secret because they were like, if the word gets out, we're just not going to do it, you know. And so we just kept the secret that Metallica were going to play, you know, to 175 people, June 8th, 2008, the day before their performance at Bonnaroo. So they roll up the trucks, man, that day and loaded all their gear in, and it was on. It was really great because one of the first things I remember, or one of the things I remember that happened first as they're loading in, their sound guy was this guy named Big Mick. I mean, he's a longtime legendary sound guy. And they were using our little teeny-ass PA here. And he walks in, and I'm like, oh, man, it's Big Mick. Big Mick had just run sound for Led Zeppelin's reunion show at the O2 Arena 6 months earlier. I was like, oh, shit, you're Big Mick. And he, you know, looks at our gear, and I'm like, well, this is all we got. And he goes, oh, this is fucking great, mate. We'll make it happen. I'm like, oh, wow, they're just accommodating all around, you know? And so the afternoon goes through, they load on. I mean, literally, there were so many road cases here. They were filling up the entire club while they got everything out. You couldn't even get another person in because there were so many road cases and stuff. They get everything out, set everything up. Sound check happens. Sounds great. The 175, and then shortly afterward, the 175 people on that were invited to the event get ushered in. Everything's going smooth, but it's raining outside a little bit. And I'm like, okay, this is pretty smooth. And then I hear these footsteps upstairs at Grimey's. And these 8 cops walked into the front door of Grimey's, out the back entrance to Grimey's, down the steps, and then walked past the entrance to the Basement and go down to the 2 steps to the the pre-entrance or whatever you want to call it. And they stood there in a semicircle. And I was standing there with one of the Q Prime Management people, and they're like, hey, what are the cops doing here? I was like, I have no idea. I said, the cops never have to come here. I have no idea. But he goes, well, somebody needs to go over and talk to them. And I said, okay, I'm glad to go. I'll go over and talk to them. And they're standing in this semicircle, kind of with their arms around, like, looking slightly imposing. And I just walked up and said, what's up, guys? They said, we understand that there is a show about to happen here? And I said, yes, there is. I mean, we do shows every day. Well, is this show Metallica? And I said, yes, it is. And they said, can we please watch? And at that point, about 60 people or so had kind of heard rumors about this. You know, luckily the word was not out. You know, we had done it, but there were about 60 people hanging outside the gated area in the alley back there. And we had talked to Q-Prom management, and we were like, well, they can't get into the show, but we would like to usher them into the smoking area and let them at least keep the door open and let them at least listen, you know. So we tried to accommodate everybody. So I said, well, okay, here's the deal, guys, to the cops. I said, you guys, there's 8 of you guys. I need you here, I need you here, and I need you here, and I need you guys can rotate so you can all see part of the show. But you got to make sure that these guys out here, they get to listen to the show, but they can't get in. And so basically they were like, you know, impromptu security. And so Metallica rocked this amazing set to probably the smallest crowd they had played to since about 1983. They'd only done one show that small in about over 20 something years. And little did I know, I didn't know that they recorded every one of their shows. So about a year later, I get a link to a Blabbermouth blog post, Metallica to release like live record recorded at the Basement. I was like, oh shit. So the following November, Black Friday, it was called Live at Grimey's because it came through Grimey's, even though it was recorded at the Basement. There's always been a little confusion between what the Grimey's and the Basement. But anyway, so a year and a few months later, there's a double 10-inch live Metallica live from Grimey's record, and that's the thing that's like, and it put us on the map. I mean, it put Grimey's on the map. It put the Basement on the map. I mean, the next day it was just like Metallica plays small club show, and we're like, you know, that's one of those. It's definitely a career high. I mean, we look at everything. What's the biggest thing you ever did? Well, you couldn't put a bigger band in a smaller room, and they had a great time. And every time they come back to Nashville, they always mention playing here during the gig. I've been invited to see them at least 3 times since that happened, and every single time they mention the show and how much fun they had. And Lars comes and shops at Grimey's. He came and shopped at Grimey's last fall. Nobody even realized it was him. It was crazy. It was like 2 years ago or whatever.
And you said something to the effect that they had the lowest stage volume of any band that had ever played the Basement.
No, that's not. No. I don't. If I said that, no.
That quote. I wish it was true.
No, that quote is not true. Metallica are not the lowest volume band that's ever played here because we've had guys playing just acoustic guitars, but I've had heavy rock bands play that played louder, much louder than Metallica played when they played here. I'm just saying, like, and if you put it in context, you know, I've had heavy bands play here, and they actually are not even close to the loudest of some of the bands that we've actually had here. They were not the bombastic. It was not the most bombastic thing we've had here, if you want to put it that way, you know. I mean, I've been a long-time Metallica fan, actually since their first record. But in 1986, I saw Metallica open for Ozzy Osbourne at Municipal Auditorium, and 2 rows behind me sitting were Johnny Cash and his son John R. Cash. And the lights went up. I mean, I didn't realize it at first, but like Metallica played, then the house lights went up, and I turned around and I'm like, it's fucking Johnny Cash. Oh my God. I'm like, you know, and you know, everybody, he was a legend. He's always been a legend since his first records, you know? And I only germ photos with like legends who have had a significant impact. I'm like, I got to get my picture with Johnny Cash, right? And so there was a friend of ours who had a camera, and we said, Mr. Cash, can we please get a photo with you? And he put his arms around us, and we got a photo. And it's the only celebrity photo that didn't come out. I don't have it. I was so sad. He was like, hey, man, it didn't work for some reason. I'm like, oh, man. So
If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more like it, subscribe to my channel, click the like button, and tell me about the time you saw a legendary band in a tiny venue, and I'll see you somewhere down the road. Much love to you.